Here we go again. So, hockey fans, we find ourselves a couple of days out from one of the rarest events in sports, the championship rematch. In every sport, it's incredibly difficult to sustain a championship level of play over the course of 2 seasons, and that difficulty increases exponentially when talking about two teams achieving that level of consistency at the same time. The contrast of one team aiming for a repeat while the other one is desperate to not lose two in a row cannot be overstated. An even more rare event is when the winning team from the previous season did so while they themselves had the goal of not losing two in a row as a motivating factor as well. The stage is set and we know the players, but each team is still in its own unique position. While Florida is coming off its first Stanley Cup championship, the Oilers are the first Canadian team to even make it to two straight finals since the Oilers did it back in '87 and '88. The last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup, the Panthers were a brand new franchise who oddly enough lost their first Stanley Cup final to Colorado the very first year that they were no longer the Quebec Nordiques. So even back then, Canada was getting shafted. That brings us to today, and a few things are true. The Panthers have played more hockey than anyone else in the last 3 years, so much so that they will break the NHL record for most games played in a 3-year period during these finals. The Oilers will have the motivation advantage, in my opinion, much in the same way Florida had it last year. Call it revenge, winning for Canada, or just not wanting to become the Buffalo Bills, but my guess is that Edmonton's going to be incredibly difficult to eliminate. There's just one problem with that. The Panthers may be even more difficult to eliminate, especially with this team's Game 7 experience and the fact that Maurice approaches each series under the assumption that it's going 7. I simply trust the Panthers more in that regard. In fact, I actually trust Florida to win a series where they're down 3-2 instead of up 3-2. And the biggest reason for that is the calm combination of Sergei Bobrovsky and Paul Maurice. Now, I know, Maurice has his meltdowns from time to time, but in terms of consistency of action, the guy is almost 100% the same. From how he approaches replacing players who are injured to his almost melancholy coolness when under pressure, even the average fan can generally have an idea of how Maurice is going to react to certain situations, which probably makes life incredibly easy for the players. As for Bobrovsky, this guy has taken one of the wildest career arcs in recent memory. Starting off as a fantastic rookie for the Flyers, who after having one down year in his second season, was traded to Columbus for a second and 2/4. And the Flyers turned that second into Anthony Stolarz, who magically ended up with Bobrovsky last year winning the Cup in South Florida. Bobrovsky had incredible numbers in Columbus, leading him to be given a $10 million deal from the Panthers, a deal that was widely criticized when he started off his Florida career with a very mediocre season and didn't really even round into form until the Panthers' playoff run that ended in a Stanley Cup final loss to Vegas. Now at age 36, Bobrovsky is considered at worst the top 5 goalie in the league, and when you factor in how he performs in the playoffs, is there another goalie you would prefer to have backstopping your team? Probably not. His work ethic is legendary. Even when he's getting knocked around, the guy is unflappable, and it makes you wonder how many cups he could have won back in his youth if Columbus was more than just decent. In my series preview, I did what I always do, which is go into the video not knowing exactly what I'm going to say and then just go with my gut pick at the end of the video. I said Panthers in 6 because of Bob. The more I've thought about it, the more that I tend to agree. Look at it this way. If Florida is going to win this series, it's going to be because Bob became otherworldly again. McDavid is going to get his breakaways and Draisaitl is going to pick his spots. You're not stopping that. But if Bobrovsky has the kind of series I think he's about to have, and especially if Skinner cannot match save for save, then yeah, I think it could possibly not even go 7. No doubt the margins are thin, even if some Oilers fans think they're winning in 5. The Panthers ain't the Kings, and they sure as hell ain't Dallas. Can you imagine Maurice throwing any player under the bus the way DeBoer did? Neither can I. Can Edmonton win this series without a generational performance from Bobrovsky? You bet. But only one team has a goalie who already knows he can steal the series and who knows the level of performance it takes to win and who has the experience of doing so already. To me, that's the difference here. That and Brad Marchand on the Cats' third line. The Lundell-Luostarinen combination is already an advantage over just about every other team's third line. But add in a rejuvenated Marchand, the experience of 3 Stanley Cup winners on your third line, I don't know. I know Edmonton came close last year and they had the experience of losing and the motivation and not wanting to repeat that. But to me, Florida's goaltending and bottom 6 are too good, and I think that by the end of this series, when people are talking about why Florida won, the answers will be Brad and Bob.